Well, hello there, and welcome to Bearded Veteran Photography Creates. My name is Mike. I hope you've had a good week because today we're going to be taking a look at something a little different. Don't worry, it's still going to be related to scale modelling, but rather than just focusing on a kit, I thought it'd be nice to look into some of the history related to the kits, and how we can use that knowledge to our advantage when we make our models. It's also important to remember that our hobby is just as much about using our creativity as it is about history, so never let anyone make you feel that you have to replicate history in miniature. Instead, feel free to explore your creativity and create models you'll enjoy for years to come. With that being said, I'd like to thank Malcolm, the CEO from Models for Heroes, for inspiring the topic of this video. For those that don't know, Models for Heroes is a not-for-profit organisation with charitable interests that supports and encourages members of the UK Armed Forces, veteran and blue light communities to engage in the world of scale modelling, because as any modeller knows, this hobby is incredibly therapeutic once you get into it. If you'd like to learn more about Models for Heroes or would like to make a donation including any spare unused model kits or equipment you no longer want, then you can find them online at www.modelsforheroes.org.uk and on Facebook at Models for Heroes. If you'd like to join in some weekly online modelling sessions with the members but aren't a member of the UK Armed Forces or blue light community, then you can always join the IPMS registered group Friends of Models for Heroes, who hold weekly online group modelling sessions via Discord every Saturday between 10 AM and 4 PM. More information about this can be found at Facebook at Friends of Models for Heroes.
Get on with it!
Many modellers who venture into the realm of World War I vehicle modelling start off with a Mark I, Mark IV, Mark V tank, barely venturing any further. However, those that do uncover a world of wheeled vehicles that not only unlock almost limitless possibilities for dioramas, but also an entire area of history that often gets overlooked despite it stretching back decades before the war, not only having a significant impact on the modern motor industry, but also on society as we know it today. One important part is the development of tyres. The misunderstanding and lack of knowledge around this subject not only causes modellers to create inaccurate models, but also skews people's knowledge of history. So let's clear things up and start at the beginning. In 1844, American Charles Goodyear patented a processor that uses heat to add sulfur to natural rubber, making it waterproof and windproof, whilst also allowing it to keep its elasticity and flexibility. He called the process vulcanization. A year later, in 1845, a Scottish inventor called Robert William Thomson patented the world's first vulcanized rubber pneumatic tyre. However, it wasn't until a Scottish veterinarian by the name of John Boyd Dunlop patented a more practical design for vulcanized rubber pneumatic bicycle tyres that they became popular. In 1895, Frenchman André Michelin and his brother Edouard put the first pneumatic tyre onto an automobile. However, these weren't very durable, so it wasn't until 1911 when American Philip Strauss invented the combination fabric reinforced tyre with a hardened rubber inner tube that the pneumatic tyre really became practical on vehicles other than bicycles. It's important to note that up to this point, tyres were still made from natural rubber, mixed with compounds such as zinc oxide, which made the tyres appear an off-white with a yellow, grey or pink tinge depending on the chemical added to it. This was because it wasn't until 1904 that manufacturers discovered that adding carbon black to the vulcanized rubber increased its durability tenfold. By the outbreak of World War I in 1914, the process was still significantly more costly and difficult than producing natural rubber tyres. Also, the British Empire included almost the entire natural rubber production capacity of Southeast Asia, making natural rubber tyres fairly easy and cheap to produce. It was because of these factors and the need for a rapid, plentiful supply of tyres that the British forces adopted a policy of using natural rubber or off-white tyres on all light vehicles such as bicycles, motorcycles, cars and ambulances, as these were much more numerous and crew casualty comfort was an important consideration. This enabled them to save the carbonised black rubber for the solid tyres fitted to the heavier vehicles such as lorries, which would wear out natural rubber tyres far quicker due to their weight. In fact, this policy became so important to the British war effort that for civilian vehicle owners on the home front, using British-made natural rubber tyres was considered an act of patriotism. Because not only did it save more carbonised black rubber for the military, but it also meant Britain saved millions of pounds per year by not having to import tyres from America. Because of this policy, even those vehicles that were shipped from America and Britain to mainland Europe by well-meaning people and organisations were quickly equipped with the off-white natural rubber tyres once their original tyres failed. This meant that it wasn't until after the Americans entered the war in 1917 that carbonised pneumatic tyres began to slowly become more common amongst the Allied forces. In stark contrast to this, the German Empire relied entirely on foreign imports of rubber, so once Britain banned the independent Scottish traders from selling to the German Empire in 1914, Germany had no access to new supplies of rubber at all, so they tried to reuse old rubber as much as possible. They also tried to create synthetic rubber, however, they weren't successful in this until the 1930s. They even experimented with sprung steel tyres made of coil springs and a linked metal band around them. However, by 1917 they were left with no alternative other than to use traditional steel-rimmed wheels. During the war, the French also invented the decastable tyre for their armoured wheeled vehicles. These were puncture-proof tyres that worked because rather than relying on one continuous ring of air around the rim, the tyre was made of individually sealed pockets of air about the size of a tennis ball inside the tyre. So if one was punctured, the rest would stay inflated. Even the Welsh got in on the action when two brothers from Llanelli invented the Stepney spare wheel system, which was a spokeless wheel with a pneumatic tyre around it. This could be quickly clamped to the rim of a wheel with a puncture and effectively replace the punctured wheel without the need to remove it. This meant that if a driver got a puncture whilst under fire, they could quickly fit the Stepney and drive away without the need to jack up the vehicle or remove the wheel with the damaged tyre. That's why a lot of World War I light vehicles, especially ambulances and cars, are shown with at least one spokeless wheel stowed either on the roof or on the side of the vehicle. So, why do so many museum pieces, rebuilds and replicas have black carbonised tyres? Well, because these days natural, non-carbonised rubber tyres like those used in the war are far more difficult and significantly more expensive to get hold of than modern carbonised rubber or black tyres. So given that we know that, why do so many model manufacturers depict World War I wheeled vehicles as having black tyres? Well, because model manufacturers base the majority of their designs on old black and white photos that rarely show the tyres in a clean state, and they also base them on scans of museum pieces or rebuilds and replicas which, as we've already discussed, will tend to have more modern carbonised black tyres because they're cheaper and easier to get hold of. So now that we know all this history, how can we use that to our advantage as modelers? Well, now that we know that the tyres were an off-white rather than a black, we can use that to create a little bit of visual interest. So rather than just having white tyres, we could use a bone colour. We could add a little bit of blue or a bit of yellow to show different effects of the different chemicals that were added to the rubber. We can also try and recreate some of those German coil sprung tyres. Now that we know about the Stepney spare wheel system, we can add that into the diorama. Rather than just having it on the side of a vehicle or on the roof, we could actually put it on the wheel because we know how it connects. We know that it clamps to the rim and it doesn't actually replace it, it just goes onto the side of it. So all these little things means you can add a little bit more visual interest into your model by knowing the history behind them. It also allows you to use a bit more creativity, which, as I said at the beginning, is an essential part of scale modelling, and it's not something you should be afraid of exploring. If you want to create a Lancaster bomber that's painted bright pink with yellow underneath, then that's your choice, it's your model, and it's about what you enjoy. If you enjoy doing historically accurate, do historically accurate. If you enjoy making it up as you go along, just make it up as you go along. There's no right or wrong way. And that's what these videos are about. They're about giving you the knowledge you need. So if you want to add a little bit of historical accuracy, then you know that you can do it without having to copy the box or without having to copy a photo. But if you also want to do your own thing, then you're free to do so. So anyway, I hope you found this video useful. If you'd like me to make more of them, please let me know. And I hope to see you all again soon. Bye for now.